Hey guys, it's Chris at Highline Guitars. Thank you for tuning into my guitar building YouTube channel. Today I am going to show you how I made this simple fret sanding tool. So let's get started. In a recent episode, I showed you guys this tool, which I had made as a way to hold sandpaper while sanding out the tool marks on frets which occur after the leveling and the recrowning process. The best way to get rid of those tool marks, the scratches that are left by crowning files, is to use sandpaper. And unfortunately, it can be really challenging to hold that sandpaper as you're trying to sand the surface. So I came up with this simple tool that uses a clip to hold the little piece of sandpaper. And then on this piece of aluminum, you can see it has a groove that's been carved into the surface here, and that fits over the fret wire. The only problem with this tool is that it's not really very ergonomic. So when you're trying to sand frets over the body of the guitar, the body itself can get in the way, and there's always the risk of running the tool into the body and gouging or scratching the wood. So I decided to come up with a tool that would be more ergonomic. And this is how that tool came out. It's basically just 1/2 inch wide, 1/4 inch thick aluminum. And I took a bar and then, well, as you'll see in this video, I fabricated it into this tool. The first thing I had to do was clamp a bar of aluminum into my vise and then pound it into shape using a mallet. Aluminum bends easy, so this wasn't very difficult to do. Next, I took the rough tool over to my belt sander and sanded all the surfaces just to get rid of some of those hammer marks, but I also wanted to round over some of the edges and the corners to protect the wood of my guitar from getting gouged should I accidentally slip with the tool. Now with this tool design, I have grooves in both ends. One is for narrow frets and the other is for wide frets. To form the groove, I use the edge of a coarse metalworking file and carefully file back and forth along the center of the tool's thickness to form the start of a groove. Then I was able to file more aggressively in order to form what is basically a shallow V groove. And as you can see here, I'll flip the tool back and forth from one side to the other. And then every so often, I would check my progress with a length of fret wire to make sure that the slot was deep enough. And this is another view of the filing action to show the angle of my file as I'm forming that groove. And I have to periodically switch it from one side to the other in order to make sure that that groove is of consistent shape. And the front view here highlights that file angle even better. Now my goal here was to form a groove that would contact the sides of the fret wire without touching the top, as you can see here. That way the sandpaper can actually conform to the shape of the fret and won't take too much material off any part of the fret wire itself. Okay, so the way this works is I take a small piece of sandpaper, in this case it's 400 grit, and I'll fold this over the end of the tool and then hold it in place with a paper clip. And what I'll usually do is I'll cut a number of these squares that equals the number of frets. So if I've got 24 frets, I'll cut 24 of these squares. And I'll start with the 400 grit, and then I'll work up to 600, then 800, then 1000. After that, I'm ready to polish it up to a smooth mirror-like shine. But then to use it, what I would recommend you do is mask off your fretboard so that the frets are exposed, but the fretboard itself is protected. I haven't done that in this case, but what I can also do is use one of these fretboard protectors and proceed with sanding the fret in this manner. And it very quickly removes the scratches. And then as you work your way up through the grits, you improve the surface to the point where it's very easy to polish it out to a mirror-like shine. All right, well, so that's how I made and used this simple fret sanding tool. And I've got to say, This has become one of my favorite tools next to my CNC machine, because if there's one task I can't stand doing, it's sanding the tops of my frets after I've recrowned them. So having this tool makes that process so much easier and goes so much faster. So hopefully you found this video to be useful. If so, give me a thumbs up, and as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to show this channel some support, head over to eguitarplans.com and purchase a plan for one of the other types of tools that I use to build guitars. And if you don't want to buy a plan, you can always buy one of my t-shirts. I've got a merch shelf down below, and if you can't see that merch shelf, there is a link in the description so you can go check them out. At any rate, until the next episode, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.